Time now for Focus. Today we have a report from Hungary and across the border in Serbia on Budapest's treatment of asylum seekers. In March, lawmakers voted to force all of them into detention camps. The following month, the Unhcr urged EU members to temporarily suspend transfers and returns of all asylum seekers to Hungary. In a moment, I'll be speaking to the UNHCR's Céline Schmidt. Hello, thank you very much for coming in. First, though, this report by Anne Meillet and Jessica Saltz.
Time stands still for migrants here in Serbia at the gates to the European Union. In this reception centre in Subotica, a small border town, 120 people are hoping to enter Hungary in order to seek asylum. But they know that the road to the Balkans is now closed and the border airtight. Since the beginning of April, all asylum seekers in Hungary are detained in facilities. Ahmad Rifai has been waiting for months with his 2 children and his wife in this makeshift camp.
It's not right. Many other migrants have passed over the border before me, and I don't understand why I'm stuck here now. I'm just looking for a better life for me and my children, so that my daughter can go to school.
Around 7,000 migrants are currently in Serbia waiting to enter the European Union. But Hungary only allows 5 people in per day, and most of them will be sent back. After building a barbed wire barrier, the authorities created 2 transit zones, which are now the only crossing points for migrants. In April, the Hungarian authorities let media into one of these centres. Sandor Pinter, the Interior Minister, acts as a guide. This is where asylum seekers are now detained whilst each case is examined. But the government insists it's not a prison.
Those who do not want to wait until the end of the proceedings or file an asylum application are completely free to leave the transit zone and return to Serbia.
Today, the authorities evacuated the asylum seekers from this centre and are demonstrating the quality of the facilities, despite the visible barbed wire fence in the background.
There is a ping-pong table, a slide, there is even a volleyball net. You can play tournaments. This part of the centre is designed for families. 80 people can live here in good conditions.
First the barbed wire fence, then the detention of asylum seekers. These measures have been denounced by the international community. The Helsinki Committee, one of the few NGOs helping migrants in Hungary, believes that the government is depriving migrants of their basic human rights.
After 2 years of dismantling asylum rights in Hungary, I think it's fair to say that asylum is no longer accessible here. The country is violating the European laws on asylum to such an extent that they're completely destroyed in Hungary.
The official number of asylum seekers in Hungary is only 300, but anti-immigration policy remains a government priority a year ahead of legislative elections. A public consultation initiative was launched entitled Stop Brussels. All Hungarian households received a questionnaire regarding the detention of migrants and about the EU, which the government believes wants to force Hungary to accept illegal migrants. At this market in Budapest, few people have bad words to say about the initiative.
The issue of refugees is very important for us here in Central Europe because we have to catch them, to welcome them.
We certainly have to deal with refugee issues, but no one can force us to accommodate them.
The government has carefully crafted its strategy against migrant workers, and a lot of people strongly disagree with this. But civil society is disarmed. We can't do anything.
Meanwhile, in Serbia, in the Subotica camp, Sam is waiting for an opportunity to cross the border. Like many others, he now feels trapped. He doesn't want to reveal his identity so as not to affect his chances.
So when you try like 1,000,000 of times, you will be like so devastated and you will be desperate and you will have no choice. You either go back or you either cross illegally or cross legally and wait for 6-7 months, or maybe kill yourself.
In 2015, the European Commission opened infringement proceedings against Hungary because of its asylum legislation, which are still ongoing. Meanwhile, Budapest has just completed the construction of another barrier. This will further tighten its border with Serbia.
So turning now to my guest, Céline Schmidt, spokesperson for the UNHCR in France. Hello again. Now, it hasn't been that long since we last saw each other, since we were last in the studio together, and you were here to tell us about the UNHCR, as I mentioned in the introduction, calling on EU members to think twice before sending asylum seekers, failed asylum seekers, back to Hungary, because, of course, under the Dublin regulation, that's what they have to do. Has anything changed since then?
So what is happening is that in some countries, the courts have ruled against the transfer of asylum seekers back to Hungary. It happened in several countries in the European Union. We continue as well the dialogue with authorities in the different countries and as well in France to share our recommendation, to share our point of view on that. Also, the European Commission is continuing the work with Hungary, with the authorities in Hungary, to review the law and to adapt the law and to make sure the law complies with international obligations and EU law. So that work is going on as well. But what is really important now is that measures are taken soon to find solutions for the people who are there, for the asylum seekers who are there, who are still detained. Today, there are more than 240 people being detained in the centers at the border, in containers with high fences. And among those 240 people are children. Nearly half of the people are children, and they should not be detained.
Who's looking after these people?
So the authorities are managing the site. We have access.
NGOs?
Some NGOs, we have access as well. We can share information. But the most important thing is that they should not be detained, and especially children. And many of the people have already suffered during the way in their country, then on the way. They are traumatized, and this could have effects to even increase their trauma. So solutions have to be found in Hungary, but also more general in Europe to receive asylum seekers and to share the responsibility of welcoming asylum seekers, making sure they can access quickly the procedure, claim asylum, and be protected.
Well, that's certainly the hope in certain countries. Here, of course, we're leading up to a presidential election, and we've had Emmanuel Macron, I understand, say that he wants the application procedure to be sped up quite a bit. I just wanted to talk about Viktor Orban. He was the Prime Minister of Hungary. He was at the European Parliament recently, and he was given quite a hard time on several issues, really, with certain lawmakers saying that he's not respecting EU values at all. Does it make a difference when there are such speeches, as we saw Guy Verhofstadt? He was particularly hard on Orban when he spoke to him. Do speeches like that make a difference in how a country might react or not?
We've been concerned about the situation in Hungary for some time, end of last year already, when there were campaigns against the reception of refugees, and we've condemned that. What is important is to give the right information to the people and also to the citizens in Hungary. The people who are arriving are fleeing war, they're fleeing conflict, they've been traumatized, they're looking for protection, they have no other solution to save their lives, to save the families. As I said, half of the people being detained are children. They need protection, and Hungary, the citizens of Hungary, they still remember, their history as well, and maybe it's important to also recall that.
In what way are they being misled then? Because you're saying they need to be given the right information. What information are they getting? Because as we saw in the report, Orban his policies aren't that unpopular. It seems there's quite a lot of support for his asylum policy.
When I say the right information about who are the people who are arriving, what are their needs, why are they there, and not doing campaigns.
So people
comparing
believe the Prime Minister when he says that this is about stopping terrorist attacks?
And criminals. I can't say if they believe it, but it should not be, you know, the argument, because we know that refugees are also fleeing terrorism. They're fleeing the same thing that people are scared of here. And you know, it's important to remember that refugees are coming because they're fleeing conflict, they're fleeing terrorism, they're fleeing war, and they're just looking for safety. And with that, you know, maybe it's important also to, yes, remember the history, and that 200,000 people from Hungary were received in neighboring countries, were then resettled in other European countries, and were protected when they had to flee and when they had to find a safe place somewhere.
Now, at the end of the report, we heard about the European Commission launching certain proceedings and what kind of punishment could there be for Hungary, if any?
So, yeah, the proceedings are underway. So, first of all, they're reviewing the law, trying to adapt it, trying to make sure it complies to international obligations. If that doesn't work, if that doesn't succeed, then the case could be brought to the European Court of Justice, and they would take then a decision, and they could say that the law is against international obligations.
And just a quick word on Poland, if you could tell us about this. I understand that Poland is considering similar measures, putting people into containers at the border.
I don't know the details about Poland, but detention is being used in different countries, in other countries. But Hungary is the only country now where it is used as a systematic way for asylum seekers who enter the country. So all asylum seekers entering Hungary are now detained.
All right, well, I hope that between now and the next time we see each other, there'll be some progress on the issue. Thank you very much indeed, Céline Schmidt from the UNHCR. Thank you for watching.